Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. I want to do something. We need to go and look at this. We have to go backwards to go forwards. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Bear with me. You know, Buhari was talking about possibly pardoning, looking at pardoning Ken Saro. Let us be very clear. Late Ken Saro does not need any pardon from any military junta of which he is part of. Buhari is part of the military junta. He is. Let me see if I can do something. I may do this, I'm going to do it probably in stages. If not, I'll be back. But I want you to see this yourself. I want you to be aware of that yourself. So here we go. Now, I'm actually going to do something right now. I want to put a picture. It's very important that we have this picture, because sometimes when we're talking about things, the context is very, very important. So I'm just going to put in here. You will see something come up on the screen. And I want to, since Buhari himself opened that can of worms, we are going to go there with him. Yes, let's go there with him. And we can expose all of them. And there is a video that I might play that's going to link all of this. So, with that said, let's try this now. I want to just do this. I may not finish it tonight. If not, it'll be tomorrow. But I can't let go of this somehow. Right, there you go. So there is the picture. Those three men. Who's in the middle? Buhari. He's now trying to play a trick to say he's going to pardon Ken Saro, whom they all colluded to kill via a court martial. Don't forget, this was done. He was convicted under a military dictatorship of Abacha. There is no democracy in it. Now, I'm going to play something to you, then I'll play a video and we can talk about it. We do not need any, Ken Saro needs no pardoning, because the people that actually convicted him, they have no basis upon which they should be in governance. They impose themselves on us, and they're still doing so till today. Now, let's watch this. Those men, Abacha, Buhari, Babangida, they are all to blame for the death of Ken Saro. Now, let's go. So now I want to play this and I'll come back to it. Watch. I think this guy was, he must have been an ambassador in the UK at the time this was happened. Listen to his words, then I will play the whole thing to you and it will make sense. It will make sense. Watch.
I have been very busy today. I've not been able to call them to find out whether this has been confirmed or not. And it is not a court martial. The people were given opportunity to engage the services of counsel, and the trial was in open court. There were national and international observers. So it is a just trial, and Nigeria has not.
It is never a just trial. It can never be a just trial. It can never be a just trial. So now I've given you the basis. Listen to the words he used. Remember, let me show you. Remember, at the time, this man, Abacha was the one in power at the time. And we were ruled by military men at that time. So there is no justification for what they did. None, because there's no democracy. They imposed themselves on us. Now let me play again. Listen to the words now. Listen slowly. Listen.
I have been very busy today. I've not been able to call them to find out whether this has been confirmed or not. And it is not a court martial. The people were given opportunity to engage the services of counsel, and the trial was in open court.
He's talking nonsense. Open court what? We are under military decree. under Abacha. What are you
national and international observers. So it is a just trial, and Nigeria has not violated its commitment to international law at all.
So you can see that Nigeria has been violating all its commitments to international law, even from in the days of Ken Saro-Wiwa and even beyond that. Now, I'm going to play the video to you. Let me go and play the whole video and let's watch it. Now, listen now. This is about the final days trial of Ken Saro-Wiwa. Watch. And this is where you need to understand conclusively that Buhari and the people around him, they are trying to rewrite history. We mustn't let them. Watch.
We are not giving here. The question we are asking you is that we are asking you whether what time you get the passport of your own.
Ken's stance in relation to the tribunal was it was all a farce, it was all a fix, so he wasn't going to give evidence. Ken wanted to put in before the tribunal a long 40-page statement of denial of his guilt. The tribunal said, we're not going to look at that if you're not giving evidence. When they...
So did you see they did not look at the evidence he was going to put forward? They were not. And Buhari dares to tell us that he's going to pardon a military junta. The head of a military junta dares to tell the citizens whom he's supposed to be serving that, we are going to pardon. You have no right to pardon Ken Saro-Wiwa. He was right. He was going to give you a 40-page document that you guys refused to read. And you killed him. You sentenced him to death under your military junta. Yes, we're going there. Let's carry on.
Came to give their judgment. They pretended, and there's no other word for it, that Ken Saro-Wiwa hadn't challenged any of the prosecution evidence, so they could take it all as being true without even having to think about whether it was or not. And that just seemed to me to be totally dishonest and to show their bias against him.
A lot of things were becoming pretty clear towards the end, and also the letters he received, there were a lot of people were very worried about how things were going, but in his usual nature he'd laugh and tell them not to worry, and that look, even if it went on, that they should know that they have to carry on. And he gave a lot of courage. It was amazing to see, and he knew that he could go either way, but yet his spirit was high, very high.
I remember about a few days before the judgment, he came to me about 4 a.m. and said that he had one dream, and that we were in the judgment hall. They had finished the judgment, and he was still sitting down there alone. People had gone. Then he was asking people to show him the way to his village. It was like he was treading a lonely path to that place, and he couldn't understand the language. He thought that, well, these people are out to do their worst. And so he had this sort of feeling. We now resolve, we must damn them. Even if they want to kill us, we should just damn the whole thing about whatever. None of us must show any sign of weakness. Let them go to hell.
We're in real trouble. I've started to prepare Mama and Papa for the worst, so they do not get dismayed when I'm convicted. However, that will not be the end of the story, as you well know. Before sentence was passed, in his last public statement, Ken Saro-Wiwa made a final appeal for the people of the Niger Delta.
There is no possibility whatsoever that I or Mossad would ever have planned any such action. And I will forever disavow it, no matter what any forum decides upon. I appeal to you, my Lord, for only one thing. The Ogoni people have suffered tremendously in this country. They have made tremendous contributions to this country. Niger Delta itself is in serious trouble. We need every assistance that we can get.
On the 31st of October, Ken Saro, Wiwa and 8 others were found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging. 6 of the total 15 defendants were acquitted, including Ledum Mite.
After the judgment was read, when they pronounced, they said they discharged me. At first I had, well, oh God, thank God. But next, when I heard what they were saying, they condemned this thing, I broke down and cried. He was the person holding me in that court. Ken was saying, why, don't do that. Remember, we said we won't show weakness to these people, let them not get it pride and all that. But I couldn't help it. I couldn't imagine, because my life was already...
That's the man, that's Ken Saro, that this military junta man is not fit to be called the president. Is telling us he's going to pardon a man that they killed in a kangaroo court. Don't believe the lies of the Buhari government. They killed Ken Saro. They did. And to tell us he's going to pardon him. Get his body out. Where's his body? Where's Ken Saro's body? Where is it? For the family. They should go and provide the body. They should be convicting those who passed those judgments, those who sanctioned the passing of the judgment. Those are the ones who should be convicting. Ken Saro doesn't need any pardon. He is a hero. He's a hero. Listen on.
Intertwined with this group, we've stayed in circumstances that were like brothers.
With the announcement of the death sentences, the story became international for the first time.
It's the only hope that my father has now. If the Commonwealth doesn't say anything, he will be executed. We went to the Commonwealth.
Did you hear? He was executed. A man fighting for his people. And then Buhari wants to say he wants to pardon. Pardon what? Will pardon bring him back? When you guys knew that he was speaking for his people and you silenced him. Just like you're trying to silence Nnamdi Kanu, like you're trying to silence Oloyede Sunday-Igboho. The same trick, the same storybook. We're not falling for it. R.I.P. One Nigeria. Listen on.
Conference, because we felt that the Commonwealth had the authority and the standing to actually make a strong statement to prevent disaster happening.
In a race against time, Ken Wiwa sought out President Nelson Mandela, who was seen as the most influential African figure at the conference.
We did try to meet President Mandela because we felt he was one politician with the authority and the standing to say something, to intervene on my father's behalf and on behalf of all the other Ogonis.
I will add one more thing. The Shell had a hand in this as well. They were only interested in their profits. Anything that would get in the way of the profits, including Ken Saro, was something that they would like the military junta to deal with, to get out of the way. And that is the issue. There is a document or somewhere that I would like to read about Shell. Let me read if I can find it. I'm going to read to you a word about that. Let me see if I can find it, if I can read that Shell thing to you. I want you to read the words of one of the executives. Listen to it. Let's go on. Let's see now. I can find it. Okay, now. Okay. So. Okay. Listen to these words. Shell and the Nigerian government were inextricably linked. In the 1990s, Shell was the most important company in Nigeria. The company and the government were business partners in a joint venture and remained in constant contact. As Brian Anderson, chair of the Shell Nigeria between 1994 and 1997 acknowledged, the government and oil industry are inextricably entangled. Now listen to one more line and I will show this as well. I'm going to endeavor to show you this. In fact, I'm going to go and break. I'm going to do better than that. now they've actually asked for this. We're going to provide the evidence. You see, we are this sort of Soke generation with evidence. You're watching Citizen AY on the platform where we speak truth to power, and the only currency we deal in is truth. Now, let me bring this to your attention, because now we under no circumstances will we accept any attempt by anybody to come and tell us, oh they've pardoned Ken Saro. He's a hero, he was killed, and it is them that must atone for that killing. So I'm showing you the picture. Okay, now let's go and look at this. Shell. So I wanted to show you this so that you could see yourself. Shell Nigeria. Yeah, so here we go. So are you watching that? Shell Nigeria and Shell and the Nigerian government were inextricably linked. In the 1990s, Shell was the most important company in Nigeria. The company and the government were business partners in a joint venture and remained in constant contact, as Brian Anderson, chair of Shell Nigeria, between 1994 and 1997 acknowledged. The government and the oil company and the oil industry are inextricably entangled, and they had a hand in the killing, in the execution of Ken Saro-Wiwa. Listen to this. Although Shell was aware of its environmental impact, although Shell publicly denied its operations had caused environmental problems, senior staff were highly concerned about the poor state of its aging, inadequately maintained leaking pipes. In November 1994, Shell's head of environmental studies, Bob Van Dessel, resigned, stating that he felt unable to defend the company's environmental record without losing his personal integrity. In a 1996 interview, he said Shell managers were not meeting their own standards. They were not meeting international standards. Any Shell site I saw was polluted. It was clear to me Shell was devastating the area. There is irrefutable evidence that the Shell knew that Nigerian forces committed grave violations when they were deployed to address community protests. Went on to further to say, Shell knew about human rights violations in Ogoniland from mid-1993. As violence increased in Ogoniland, it is inconceivable that the Shell was not aware of the worsening human rights situation. The involvement of the armed forces was widely reported at the time, and Amnesty and other published numerous materials on incidents such as the detention of Ken Saro-Wiwa and the extrajudicial killings of Ogoni residents. Shell executives regularly met with top government officials and discussed government strategy for dealing with Ogoni protests. The company also had close links with Nigerian Internal Security Agency. Shell's former head of security for the region said he shared information with agency on a daily basis. Here's one more line. Here's the line. We don't need, I'm saying it now, under no circumstances must Buhari try to rewrite history. We are giving you proper history lesson. The government silenced the Ogoni people because they were speaking up for their rights, for a better environment. And you can see in black and white before you, the evidence is before you. So I'm saying this categorically here now. Under no circumstances must anybody from in the south accept any pardoning. The Fulani government, and Buhari is part of it. Let me show you a picture again. I'm going to bring you a picture. This man here, Abacha, was in government when they killed Ken Saro-Wiwa. And these men were all part of the military. So they are all interlinked. All of this is trying to save face. We mustn't let them rewrite history. We must expose their lies. This is what we're doing. Here we go. So I'm just bringing that into the picture so you know that they are telling a pack of lies. Now, here we go. So now, Shell urged the government to stop the Ogoni protest. Shell executives repeatedly underlined to government officials the economic impact of the Ogoni protest and urged them to resolve the problem. For example, on March 1993, Shell wrote to the governor of Rivers State requesting his intervention to enable us to carry out our operations given the strategic nature of our business to the economy of the nation. After General Sani Abacha seized power in November 1993, Shell wrote almost immediately to the new appointed military administrator of Rivers State, saying that community disturbances, blockade, and sabotage had led to major drop in production and asked for help to minimize the disruptions. Shell encouraged intervention by security and military forces. What more evidence do you need? What more evidence do you need? Despite knowing the serious human rights violations were almost inevitable, Shell asked for the intervention of the Nigerian security and military forces in 1993, for example. It repeatedly called on Nigerian government to deploy the army in Ogoniland to prevent protests from disrupting the laying of pipeline. As a result, 11 people were injured and 1 man was killed. Shell executives even advised the Nigerian military not to release protesters without commitment to stop protests. Look, they provided Shell provided logistical support to the armed forces. Shell provided security forces with logistical support and payments during the 1990s, with Brian Anderson admitting that this was standard practice. In reality, any operational contact with the government requires financial and logistical support from Shell. For example, to get representatives of the Department of Petroleum Resources to view an oil spill, we often have to provide transport and other amenities. The same applies to military protection. Shell was complicit in the execution of the Ogoni 9. Shell recklessly encouraged the military authorities to stop protests by movement of the survival of the people, Ogoni people. Even after the authorities repeatedly committed human rights violations in Ogoniland and specifically targeted Ken Saro and the movement. Even after the men were jailed, being subjected to torture and other ill treatment, and are facing likelihood of execution, Shell continued to discuss ways to deal with Ogoni problem with the government and did not express any concern over the prisoners' fate. Shell later claimed they worked behind the scenes to advocate for release of Ogoni line, but we have seen no evidence of this. Indeed, 1 month after the executions, President General Sani Abacha complimented Shell on its stance. Despite knowing these serious human rights violations were almost inevitable, Shell asked for the intervention of Nigerian security and military forces. Shell's parent company in the UK and Netherlands was culpable. The company documents show that at least from the time that Shell appointed British national Brian Anderson to head its Nigerian operations in the early 1994, key strategic decisions were taken in the corporate headquarters of Royal Dutch Shell London, The Hague. These include regular Nigerian updates Brian Anderson sent to his superiors. They demonstrate that Shell directors in The Hague and London were fully aware of what was happening in Nigeria, with a clear directing rule evident. I could go on. I'm just giving you evidence. So when Buhari tries to come and say, I'm going to pardon what? Excuse me? Pardon what? What are you pardoning? What are you? You're trying to say face. You are trying to say face. Sorry. Where was it? Yeah, okay. And then we'll go back here. Sorry. One minute, please. I'm just going to find this for you. That's it. So, Shell is trying to save face. So, what I've just shown you now is clear evidence that the military junta, once again, let's put their picture up, of which Buhari is part of. They are trying to save face. We mustn't let them. We mustn't. So, let me just go here. Sorry about this. So, Buhari is in the middle. Remember, this Abacha seized power in 1993. They were all connected. You understand? So do not believe the lie. Don't. Those three are the ones who killed. They worked with Shell to kill Ken Saro, may so rest in peace. So we don't need any pardon from bunch of military juntas. We don't. Now, let's listen on.
We tried to meet him, and we didn't.
I would rather live at this task that the people who are more experienced than myself and who have been busy with Nigeria all along.
You see what happened? They prevented the Shell executives intervened to make sure that Mandela wouldn't speak. We don't have the evidence, of course. But he said, I'd rather leave it because he was instructed not to. Order from above. You see, that is why they see the evidence. I've given you the evidence. The evidence is, you can see the evidence of the killings. You see it. And we're here to expose that. And I'm probably going to show this video tonight, if not tomorrow.
Mounting criticism greeted the Nigerian contingent on arrival in Auckland. Meanwhile, Commonwealth leaders took no action against Nigeria, who announced on the 8th of November that the death sentences were confirmed.
I didn't have time to even consider on a personal level the implications of what was happening. I just had to digest the information and just respond to it in a way which would have the most impact, which would try to save his life. So, I almost sort of blanked out the implications of hearing that the sentences had been confirmed.
You see that? They're drinking away whilst a man's life is being taken. They're drinking away. You see?
It must be effective.
You see?
And to be effective,
please, let me pause this. I want to do something here. I need to do something here. In the middle of this speech, I'm going to reread something to you. You make of it what you will, but I'm going to read in the middle of her speech. I want you to listen to these words. I'm going to reread it to you again. Right? Shell parent company in the UK and Netherlands was culpable. The company documents show that at least from the time that Shell appointed the British national Brian Anderson to head its Nigerian operations in early 1994, key strategic decisions were taken in the corporate headquarters of Royal Dutch Shell in London and The Hague. These include the regular Nigerian updates Brian Anderson sent to his superiors. They demonstrate that Shell directors in The Hague and London were fully aware of what was happening in Nigeria, with a clear directing role evident. So, with that in mind, now listen to her.
it must have moral authority.
But no one had reacted quickly enough. On November the 10th, the Ogoni 9 were taken to Port Harcourt prison to be hanged by the neck.
And there you have. November the 10th, he was hanged. May his soul rest in peace. Final pictures. And Buhari has the temerity to tell us he's going to pardon a man that was fighting for his people, like Nnamdi Kanu is doing, like Oloyi Sunday is doing, like Professor Banji Akintoye, like Omo Elesowore is doing. And you're telling me you're going to pardon what? You are the ones that need to hang your head in shame. You are not going to rewrite history. You are not going to be allowed to rewrite history. We are going to expose the lie. Shell was complicit in ensuring that you killed your own people. You say you are one Nigeria. We're not one Nigeria. This is about profits. And you impose yourselves on the people. And we have had enough of it. R.I.P. one Nigeria. R.I.P. one Nigeria. Right.
Ken Saro-Wiwa's last words were, "I never destroyed my people, but my people are killed. If it be that I can die to free my people, please my God, and the gods and soil of Ogoni land, allow me to die."
So those are the 9. So you go to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We don't know the 9th one. So those are the 9 there that were killed. Buhari must provide their bodies. We don't need a pardon from them. They did nothing wrong. They fought, they stood up for their people, like Oloyi Sunday was doing, like Nnamdi Kanu is doing. And we are demanding that Nnamdi Kanu and Oloyi Sunday will be released immediately. Be released immediately. No ifs, no buts. They must be released. Now, because this is the same storybook of silencing people when they speak truth to power. We're not going to allow this.
In less than 2 hours, all the Ogoni 9 were dead.
In less than 2 hours.
The bodies were dumped in this graveyard, where acid was poured over them to remove any trace of their existence.
Now, let me play that again. Let me play that again. Buhari wants to pardon them, right? Listen to what they did to their bodies. Listen.
But my people are killed.
Listen to what they
If
did
it
to
be
their
that
body.
I can die to free my people, please, my God, and the gods and soil of Ogoniland, allow me to die. In less than 2 hours, all the Ogoni 9 were dead. The bodies were dumped in this graveyard, where acid was poured over them to remove any trace of their existence.
See? They were poured in, their bodies were thrown into the graveyard and acid thrown over their bodies to remove any trace of their existence. And that's the same man that's telling us now, we are going to pardon what? They did nothing wrong. It is you and your conscience. That conscience will continue to ask you to the end of time, to the end of your days. It will continue to ask you.
No one has been allowed to visit the graves.
No one has been allowed to visit the graves. You see that? Can you see?
I was devastated. True. Totally. I just asked, where was God? How can you?
Pause. I'm going to put the picture of these men. These are the people who did it all. Abacha, Buhari, Babangida, they were all in the military, and they watched as a man who stood for his people and 9 others who were standing for their people, Ogoni people, against the shell and how they're destroying the land, were killed. And you come and tell me you want to give him a pardon? He doesn't need your pardon. You are going to carry this in your conscience for the rest of your days. This is going to be on your conscience for the rest of your days. So, just wanted to bring that to your attention. Let's make that smaller. So let's carry on.
Let an innocent man be killed in that sort of horrible manner.
See that? Killed. They threw acid on their body. And you're talking to me about pardoning. See, all of these people knew. See, John Major, they knew. This is about profits, my people. African lives don't matter to these people. They only want African resources. African lives don't matter to these people. That's John Major in the middle there. Oh, they're talking a woman and a man, 10 men that were speaking for their people, as you would, as human rights, on a human right level, humanity, were tossed to one side by the same company. This company, they were tossed aside. You see, they said they were even paid. Shell was complicit in the execution of the Ogoni 9. They were, they worked behind the scenes. Let me read it to you. Shell recklessly encouraged the military authorities to stop the protest by the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, Mosop, even after the authorities repeatedly committed human rights violations in Ogoni land and specifically targeted Ken Sanrewa and the movement, even after the men were jailed, being subjected to torture and other ill treatment, and facing likelihood of execution. Shell continued to discuss ways to deal with the Ogoni problem with the government and did not express any concern over the prisoners' fate. African lives don't matter to this Shell and these organizations at the top. They are only interested in exploiting the resources of Africans, denying Africans those access. That's what it is. So, again, when you look at this, there you have John Major, the Prime Minister. Do you think he didn't know? Do you think John Major wasn't aware of this? I'm just asking you, do you think he didn't know? Shell, one of the big companies at the time, making God knows how much they're making, with the working with the military. And you tell me we have a government? RIP one Nigeria. Look at that. They silenced.
Do you think, with the benefit of hindsight, that South Africa should have done more, that its softly line was not the correct approach?
You see, they try to blame him. They can't blame. I'm not even going to. You see, what they're trying to do now, they're trying to put this. I'm not even going to let Mandela, may so rest in peace. I'm not going to. He doesn't need to speak. This is nothing to do with him. Nothing. You know why? Let's go back again. All of that is all scene setting. The real issue is what you're looking at in front of you. Shell was complicit in the execution of the Ogoni 9. Shell. And I want you to remember that. So we don't need any pardon from the military junta. The military junta need to go and ask for apology from the family and pay compensation. And they need to provide the body. We know the true acid on the body. They won't even let the family to go and see where they dissolve their body. And they come to tell you, oh, yes, we're going to... Pardon what? Pardon what? They only pardon. You go and pardon your own conscience. You pardon your own conscience and see if that works. You killed 9 men speaking for their people who have been oppressed and suppressed in their own land. You and your military, you are all responsible. And you're going to have that in your conscience till the end of your days. For eternity. You will. It's as simple as that. Now, okay. So, where are we now? Let me just go here. So, they cannot blame. You see, they try to put the blame of this. Mandela has nothing to do with Shell. Nothing. So I'm not going to play him. I'm going to forward that bit. We don't need to. That is a game. If you play that game, now, here's what I want to listen to. This bit. Let's listen to what he said here. Listen. Now, watch.
I said yesterday that I thought this was a fraudulent trial.
A fraudulent trial. But meanwhile, your company, you didn't stop the company. You didn't intervene. You didn't intervene in it. You didn't intervene. Because why? From a long time ago, we know African life don't matter. It's about resources that matters. Look at them. Look at the statues. Our statues are all over Europe. Our African statues, they're all over Europe. You use it to make money. But we, the people who, and the descendants of those who made that, we have to get visa. But those things, you loot it and you put it on your stores and you make money from. You see that African life is just for you a commodity. That's what it is. But let's carry on. Now, okay. So, So, 1 second, please. So, let's hear what he has to say. When you listen to this, listen to it, bearing in mind that his government were in discussions. They knew what Shell was doing. They knew what Shell was doing. All of this stuff, they're fraudulent and all that. It's nonsense. They are directing the actions of the Shell and the government. They're complicit.
A bad verdict, an unjust sentence, and it has now been followed by judicial murder. I don't think that is acceptable. I see no way in which it can be defended. And if the Harare principles mean anything, I do not myself see how Nigeria can stay in the Commonwealth until they return to democratic government.
See, all of that. You see, all of that now, we don't need to listen to his soul rest in peace as well. That doesn't need to. This is not. These guys, Mandela, Mugabe, they have nothing to do with this. The people that have got the answer to answer the question are the guys here. This guy's here. This guy needs to answer the question. Why is it that Shell they are complicit? You can see it in black and white. They are complicit in the execution of the Ogoni 9. Why are they not in jail? Why are they not in jail? They paid money, we know. But why is it that the communities are still suffering till today? Why? And this is one of the reasons why we must dismantle contract in Nigeria. Because it's still continuing as we speak. Now, let's carry on. I want to just bring this to. I'll bring it to a close, but you know.
And trial,
You see,
a bad verdict,
you see.
an unjust sentence, and it has now been followed by judicial murder. I don't think
Judicial murder that's sanctioned
that
by
is
sanctioned by the UK
I
government,
see no way in which
who
it
are
can be
working in
defended.
conjunction
And if the
with Sham
Harari
and
principles mean
Netherlands.
anything, I do not myself see how.
See that all that is to see. All of this is a game. I don't need to listen to what he has to say, what he's saying there. So all of this, let's listen to this one. Let me see what they're doing now. So see, they took them away. Look at that. You see? And then now go and listen to the one. Let's listen back to what I played at the beginning, and then we'll wrap this up. You see, this is again the same. Don't forget, John Major said it was a fraudulent judgment. John Major, and like I said, he is aware of Shell. Shell was complicit in the execution of Ogoni 9. You can read it in black and white. So don't let Buhari come and tell you any lie. Don't let anybody tell you. You are hearing the facts. The facts as it stands. We need to speak truth to power. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. We only deal in one currency, the truth. We are the Sorosoke generation with evidence. And we are laying this evidence before you. So when they're trying to say they're going to, do not accept any pardon for Ken Saro-Wiwa. He did nothing wrong. The people who have guilt on their conscience are the ones who are talking about pardon. And they should go and pardon their own conscience. See if that works. Go and reserve that pardon for your own conscience and see if it works. Because you know that you killed 9 men speaking for their people. Because you wanted profit, but you were working with Shell. That's what it is. So let's bring that back, and then we can listen to this. And listen to this same storybook. They are support. Oh, we are just. He had the right counsel. They won't tell you that they refused to read the 40-page document he wrote. He was going to give to them. They said, no, we're not going to listen to that.
They have not been able to call them to find out whether this has been confirmed or not.
You see?
And
you see?
It is not a court martial.
You see?
The people.
It is a court martial because it was done under military government. And the man did nothing wrong. He was not allowed to give a proper defense of himself. He was going to give a 40-page document that you guys completely disregarded. Don't take my word for it. Go to the beginning. Nonsense. Listen. I'm steamed up about this now.
A long 40-page statement of denial of his guilt. The tribunal said, we're not going to look at that if you're not giving evidence.
So, now let's go back and listen to this guy here and listen to his words. Listen to his words.
And it is not a court martial.
You see?
The people were given
the court martial weren't going to look at the 40-page document. I want you to bear it in mind. Better, as you're listening to him, know that they had already said they will not even read his 40-page document that Ken Saro-Wiwa was going to use for defense. So what are we talking about? So what's this stuff about pardoning Ken Saro-Wiwa? That's utter nonsense. We say RIP One Nigeria.
Opportunity to engage in the services of counsel, and the trial was in open court.
It's not open court anything. His body, you threw acid on his body. The military instructed those who they told to kill them to throw acid on their body and to prevent the family from seeing them. It's all in the video.
There were national and international observers.
Nonsense.
So it is a just trial, and
it's not a just trial. It is not a just trial.
Nigeria has not violated its commitment.
If you notice, it's a Fulani man. The same style of hat. Go back and look at the top of his hat. The same style of hat that Buhari is wearing now. The same style. Look at it. Same style. See that? See? He's a prisoner of conscience. prisoner of conscience. All of this stuff.
You're no leader of Nigeria. You got no right to murder anybody.
Exactly. John Major has a hand in this because they knew about Shell. Don't take my word for it. Shell was complicit in the execution of the Ogoni 9. It's there in black and white. Now, let's go back again and just finish this. I just want you to do, so when they come and say they're pardoning, it's a lie. It's a big lie. Any attempt to pardon Ken Saro-Wiwa, the prisoner of conscience that they killed, is a travesty of justice. They are trying to hide the fact that they killed an innocent man. They are trying to hide the fact that they killed an innocent man standing up for his people. And we now have the place now, Nnamdi Kanu, Oloye Sunday Igboho, they are both being held again in the same manner because they are speaking for their people to protect their lives. The same thing by the same military men. The same, look at this picture. The same man here is the same man then. That one died, his one take over. This one is now is an old man somewhere in the top of the hill somewhere, and this is one here in the middle. They are still the ones in charge as we speak. We must reject this. RIP One Nigeria. See? So, see, yeah. Yeah, Abacha is a murderer. Yes, he's a murderer. He is a murderer. And these are the facts. Complicit with this, of course, Shell. It's in black and white. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to say much more. The only thing I will say is this. Please, if you're watching this, subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. Please go ahead and do so now. We're giving you information here. We speak truth to power. We do our research. We come back with information to open your mind to see the lies that's been told. Don't believe anything. If they come and say they want to pardon Ken Saro-Wiwa, it is a lie. Remember that those who said they want to pardon him, they're the ones who ensured that they poured acid on the body of a man that they would not read his 40-page document for his defense. All of this is an attempt to rewrite history. Any attempt to pardon Ken Saro-Wiwa is an attempt to rewrite history to say, oh, they're a good government. No, it's a lie. He's been killed. The same thing they did with Abiola. And those of us, June 12th. It's a lie. They killed him. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with this broadcast. Please, you're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. We only deal in one currency, and that's the truth. We are the Sorosoke generation with evidence, such as we're providing before you right now. Please, when you get this podcast, please share it. Share. We reject any attempt to try to pardon Ken Saro-Wiwa. It's a cover-up to try to. It's an attempt to rewrite history, the history of a governance that killed people that were speaking up for Ogoni people in their own land. It's an attempt to rewrite history. That's what they're trying to do. We mustn't accept it. It's a fraud. Like everything else that this governance is doing, it's a fraud. It's a fraud. We need to speak truth to power. And these are the things. These are justifications of why we're going for self-determination. Because we've tried long enough to be in that contraction called Nigeria. And they killed them if we do not stop it now. And they're trying to rewrite history again to make us believe the lie. We can't believe that anymore. It's time to wake up from this nonsense. RIP One Nigeria. We must not accept any attempt by the government to rewrite history and say we are pardoning Ken Saro-Wiwa. Ken Saro-Wiwa committed no crime. He's a prisoner of conscience. They killed him in collusion with Shell. You see it in black and white. Read it. You can see it. It's there. Read it. Don't take my word for it. Read it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Thank you for watching this. When you get this video, share it. Share. Reject any attempt to try to rewrite the history by so-called audio president trying to say they're pardoning Ken Saro-Wiwa. Ken Saro did nothing wrong. May his soul rest in peace. May his soul rest, and the golden nine. May their souls rest in peace. We leave those who did the killing. We leave this with their conscience. We reject any attempt that they want to make to try and say, "Oh, we pardon who? They did nothing wrong. You did not read their 40-page document for the defense. You weren't prepared to read it. It's a charade. Shell was instructing you to make sure that he kept it quiet because of the money. You took money away from the people that the land belongs. Again, 68 exclusive items is all tied to this. That's why we're talking to you about dismantling contraption Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, please do watch this broadcast. Share, share, and share. You're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. We only deal in one currency, truth. We are the Sorosuke generation with evidence, such as we just provided. Before you go, we would urge you to please subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. Please go and do so now. Please go and do so now. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. You're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Thank you and goodbye.